Hello everyone, this is Lisa Learning. I want to do a series of videos talking about the GraphQL, and this is gonna be the first video. Briefly, GraphQL is like a query language for your APIs. It's a specification or standard, and we use this specification to define what kind of data your front-end needs, and then the backend will provide those data, no more or no less. And because GraphQL is a specification, so we cannot use it directly. We need to use one of the implementation for the specification. And for different language, we have a different implementation. I don't want to jump into the details directly talking about how we define the schema of a resolver. I want to talk about the high level first. So now let's go to the GraphQL website. So let's get started. We can choose any programming language for your project. And for now, let's go through this. We can say for GraphQL, we have implementation for JavaScript, Go, PHP, Python, Java, and C#. And in this demo, I want to use JavaScript. Let's choose it. And then, as you can see, we have this server-side implementation, client-side implementation, and some tools. And for the server side, we have some very popular implementations. For example, GraphQL.js, Apollo Server, GraphQL Yoga. And GraphQL.js is like official implementation for the GraphQL. And it's very easy to use. Apollo Server is another very popular implementation and has more powerful feature than the GraphQL.js. And also we can use this Apollo server with more Node.js HTTP framework, such as the Express. And for the JavaScript, let's check the client-side implementation. For the client side, we have Apollo Client, Relay, AWS Amplify. So basically, all this implementation were wrappers for the Ajax. I will talk about this client-side implementation in the following videos. So I want to use the GraphQL.js as an example for today's demo. Let's go to the resources and the training courses. And we have this GraphQL.js tutorial. First step, we need to install the GraphQL library or dependency in your project. I have a project open here. So we have this app.js file. And I already installed a library. Then there are three major steps to handle GraphQL queries. First one is we need to build schema. And the next step, we need to provide the resolver functions. And then we can send out the GraphQL query. Let me just import it in my project. So we need the GraphQL. First, we need the GraphQL and then the build schema from the GraphQL library. And now we have the three major steps. First one is we need to define the schema. And then the second step, we need to provide the resolver functions. And the last step is we mock where the front end, and then we need to send the request, the query to the backend. So define the schema. We're gonna use this build schema function. Actually, now we need to input a template string. In this template string, we have type query. This is the root query. So let's say the front end want a celebrity name and the age. So we can define the name is like a string. It's like the key is a field name, and the value is like a data type. And then we want the age. Say the age is like int type. And this is like the schema we want to define. And then next step is to provide the resolver function. Because it's a function, let's say, so the name is a function. We just return like a Tom, say. And then we have another field is like a age. For this one, we just return say 55 years old. Now we have a schema, and also we have a root. Next one is we need to send out the query. So we need to use this GraphQL function. The input parameter is an object. We need to provide the three inputs. First one is the schema. Second one is the source. Is which field you want to query. Let's say we want the name. And the third one is like the root value. It's our root. So this function is gonna return a premise. And so we use this to catch it. And we save this file. And wait, let's run it. As we can see, we can get the data. We return this name is Tom. And if you want the age as well, we need the name field and also we want the age field. We can run it again. So we can have this name field and the age return. This is the first part. We use the GraphiQL.js to show how we define the schema, how we provide the resolver functions, and also how we send the query. And the next step, I want to use the Express framework to make this become a real server. From this document, it says we need to install the Express and also the GraphQL HTTP libraries. But I want to use a web graphical user interface to test this demo. So I already installed the Express and also the Express GraphQL in my project. Let's modify this code. So first we need to import the Express. And the next we want the GraphQL HTTP require from this Express GraphQL dependency. And the three steps, the first one we need to define the schema, and the second step we need to define the resolver. After that we can comment this out. And also we need to start the server. So it's like app equal to Express. We start an instance. And now we need to mount a middleware, app.use. So we need to give a path. Let's say it's a GraphQL. Then we need to use this GraphQL HTTP function, pass the object. The first one is still schema, and the second one is the resolver. And I also want to include a GraphQL variable because I set it to true. Because if we set it to true, we can open a web graphical user interface to test this demo or to test our code. And now we start our server. And then give it a port 4000 and the log sign files running GraphQL at localhost 4000, and we need to give it a path GraphQL. So let's save the file and start the service. Let's go to this website. And you can say this is the interface that we can use this web user interface to test our code. Query is always done with this parentheses. Say what kind of field do you want to have to query. So we want to query the name, and then click the run button. We can say it return this name Tom, the data, and also we can click the document to say the documentation explorer. The root type is like a query, which is this type query. And then if you click on this query, we have fields, name and age. Also, we can say the name is string and the age is int. And if we want to query the age as well, we can run the query and get this Tom as name and 55 as age. That's everything for today's demo. Please leave any comments. See you in the next video. Bye.